Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. A program that partners nurses and police is expanding in the downtown core. It's part of the city's revitalization plans. Plus, the city of Windsor has once again sponsored the Grand Prix in Detroit. That's happening this weekend. And there's hopes of big economic spin-off. And a woman is calling for more road signs to alert people of Geese crossing. That's after she says a Windsor police cruiser hit and killed a family of geese in front of her home. Police are expanding the hours that the nurse police teams are on the streets, a move outlined in the downtown Windsor revitalization plan. The CBC's Dawson Chen has more.
For the past year, nurse police teams have been working in the city's core on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, dealing with individuals who may be experiencing mental health or addiction issues. And now the program is growing. Windsor Police have announced their nurse police teams will be on duty 7 days a week, 1 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Partnering with nurses and social workers allows us to provide an informed, effective response to people in crisis and keep them out of hospital emergency departments. And importantly, reduce potential and risk of negative or even violent interactions between police officers and individuals living in the margins of our society who need assistance from appropriate agencies rather than a confrontation with police officers.
The program is a result of a partnership between Windsor Police and Windsor Regional Hospital. Blair says data proves the initiative is working, diverting cases from overburdened emergency departments. There are also results in the street. Members of a nurse police team were the first on the scene of a recent downtown stabbing involving a 16-year-old victim. They provided crucial immediate wound care. Nurse police teams have also connected vulnerable individuals with addiction recovery homes, shelters, and other service agencies.
One of the most valuable aspects of the nurse police team is the outreach that we do. So we go to places where the vulnerable population frequent, and we're able to provide simple medical care right at the time. We can give health teaching, and we also facilitate the use of community resources.
The nurse police teams aren't the only program that's expanding. Hotel Dieu Grace Healthcare and Windsor Police Service have launched a new crisis response team, combining the personnel of the previous mobile crisis rapid response team and the community outreach and support team. The CRT program pairs social workers trained in crisis intervention with officers trained in crisis intervention, now on duty 5 to 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 1 a.m.
As a team, we are confident that the expansion will allow us to be more readily available to assist people where they are in their time of need, which will ensure that we can support and direct individuals to more appropriate services.
This is not the ultimate solution that's going to make transformational change overnight. This will be game-changing, it'll be helpful, but this is the beginning of more to come.
Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
An Essex County woman wants more signs on her road after a Windsor police cruiser was caught on tape hitting and killing a family of Canada geese. The incident happened last week in a residential area on the border of LaSalle and Amherstburg. The woman who captured the scene says the geese use her property as a nesting ground, and she would often act as a crossing guard for them. She started doing that the first year she moved into her house when another family of geese was killed by a car. A warning, some viewers may find portions of this video disturbing.
This is their path, right here and up the end of my driveway. And then they go diagonally over to Art's property right over there, and they go into the canard right directly there. They cross directly under this light post, and they have been doing it since we've been here. So it's pretty lit up when that lamp, that's exactly why my cameras caught such a clear view, because it was so lit up. I really don't understand how 40 geese in the middle of the road are not seen. They were already almost across the road. They were past the middle line when he ran them over. So it's heartbreaking, it really is. I'm not trying to get anyone in any type of trouble, but I feel that there should be proper signage out here to notify people that the geese cross here. It's been 4 years. They do it faithfully, so obviously it's going to keep happening. I would like some geese crossing signage put here. And the other thing that I would really, really like is for the officer to be held accountable. Even though I know it wasn't done intentionally, but you should be held accountable. And I think that a donation to Wings Rehab would be really nice. They need a lot of help at Wings Rehab in Amherstburg, and I think a nice donation from Amherstburg Police would do well. My friends are leaving my property and going home for the night. All the babies.
Windsor Police, which provides policing in Amherstburg, says the officer involved followed the proper protocols in this unfortunate situation. It says that the officer immediately contacted dispatchers for additional support and requested the assistance of both the Wings Rehabilitation Center and Windsor-Essex County Humane Society. Another busy weekend in Detroit as the Grand Prix hits the downtown streets, and the city of Windsor is hoping to get a piece of the action. As the CBC's Dale Molnar reports, Windsor has once again committed $50,000 to sponsor a part of the event.
And we're underway with the Chevy Detroit Grand Prix.
The Grand Prix returned to downtown Detroit last year for the first time since 1991. The city of Windsor also continued its sponsorship of the media center at the Rensen, something it has done since 2013, with the exception of 2020 during the pandemic. The CEO of Tourism Windsor-Essex Pelee Island says the money has been well spent.
What it does is it reinforces the City of Windsor brand, and it brings awareness to those 100,000 or so race fans that are on that side of the border, that Windsor's right across the border.
While Orr can't say how many visitors it has generated over the years.
Because it's leisure travel, right? It's independent travel. They make their plans, and we don't know.
He says one of the side benefits is building relationships with decision makers of events in Detroit.
So when we build those relationships, if we need something during the course of the year, or we need a door open for whatever reason, we go ahead and we make that call because we know somebody on that side of the border, and we work with them to get things done. So it really is about building that brand and making those connections with our counterparts in Detroit.
The president of the Grand Prix says they are also looking to establish relationships, and he says the city of Windsor advertising at the race does accomplish its mission.
For folks that aren't familiar with Detroit and they're not familiar with how close Detroit is to Canada, it's a real eye-opener, right? You walk into that media center and it's sponsored by the city of Windsor, Canada. Like, you know, oh wow, that's surprising. And then you look out the window and it's literally right there.
Councillor Ronaldo Augustino says it's imperative that Windsor take advantage of major events in Detroit.
It's building partnerships, it's support, it's looking at our city as a two-nation destination.
In addition to naming the media center the City of Windsor International Media Center, Windsor gets a variety of advertising on and off the track, including TV spots on the national broadcast of the race. The Transit Windsor tunnel buses will be running every hour as usual on the weekend, except for Sunday when they start at 6 a.m. to accommodate the volunteers going to the race. The executive director of Transit Windsor says they will just put on extra buses as need be to accommodate the race fans, but he says the buses can only go as far as Mariners Church at the end of the tunnel because of the road closures. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Significant rainfall last night has displaced residents from a Whately retirement home. 8 seniors have been moved from the Meadows after flooding inside the building. The home's administrator says cleaning crews have been on scene since last night, spraying everything with disinfectant, and they hope residents will be able to return in a few days. Now, other areas of the county impacted by bad weather last night. Tornado researchers say a tornado touched down near Leamington. Researchers calling it a land spout type tornado. They say no damage was reported. Kraft Heinz Canada and Highbury Canco have announced another 4-year partnership. The production deal is now in place until the end of 2027. Today's announcement marks a 3rd consecutive extension between the two organizations. Highbury Canco employs more than 600 Canadians at its 2.1 million square foot facility in Leamington. It produces Heinz beans and tomato juice, as well as Classico pasta sauce. The estimated retail value of Kraft Heinz Canada products that will be produced at Highbury Canco's facility over the next year exceeds $1 billion. Heinz Canada was established in 1901 in Leamington, but eventually closed. Highbury Canco took over in 2014. The Horse Riding Therapy Association in Windsor-Essex says it needs more volunteers. For 50 years, the group has been helping people through specialized and meaningful programs. Right now, the organization has 80 volunteers and is seeking 30 more. Windsor Morning host Amy Dodge stopped by their facility.
This is my son John. He's 9 years old. It helps him socialization a lot. It helps him with his anxiety a little bit as well. He's not a very social child, so...
Which I wouldn't describe that as him. Watching him, he looks very social, very engaged. He's smiling, he's laughing.
He loves being on the horse. He really does.
How have you seen him change over the years?
Oh, that's tough. John used to be nonverbal, no language skills at all, and in the past 4 or 5 years, he's fully vocal now. He's fully verbal now, so
really?
A lot of big changes, yes.
We notice since the pandemic, unfortunately, there has been a decline in volunteer engagement. We're looking to have an additional 20 to 30 volunteers come on board with us, especially in the next couple weeks, so we can introduce them to orientation, and we have our summer camp programming coming up in July, so we really want to fill those spots.
I am a retired teacher and who's always loved horses, and I think this is a great opportunity for me to be with them, but also to use a little bit of my teacher expertise in relating to and dealing with the riders here. You need to be patient, you need to be understanding and kind and kind of calm. So that's, those are the two main things. The horses and the riders are awesome.
There's never really a dull moment here in a good way. I just enjoy taking care of the animals, hanging out with the kids.
I wonder if one of those benches is going to get a warning from the umpiring crew here to maybe the Barnstormers dugout. I wouldn't be surprised. And Jeff Hoffman, your public address announcer. Did they throw Jeff out? Did they throw Jeff Hoffman out of this ballpark? Oh my goodness.
No, that's not a player or fan getting tossed out of the inter-county baseball game in Chatham. It was the public address announcer, Jeff Hoffman. It happened Sunday during a Chatham Barnstormers versus Guelph Royals game. Hoffman plays popular and viral sounds to react to plays on the field. For example, using sounds from The Simpsons and other sound bites taken from social media. He believes in this case the umpires took issue with one sound effect that he used, the term bruh.
I believe that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, was that one, because that one was legitimately critiquing the umpire's calls. As I've had some time to reflect on this, I think it was a conglomeration of all the events over the past few days, and some of the umpires have been there for more than one game, that they just got tired of my shtick. To be honest with you, and this is going to sound cocky and conceited, I don't think the IBL, which has been around for 100 years, was quite ready for what I bring to the table.
CBC News reached out to the Inter-County Baseball League, both teams involved, and the Umpires Association. The director of umpires says the ejection was justified based on the rules in place. He said umpires have the authority to remove anyone who is participating in the game in any capacity. Hotman says he remains in good standing with the team, and based on conversations with the team owner, he will change his soundboard moving forward. As the decades change, so do the policies at local institutions and organizations. This Rose City Rewind sheds light on a policy at the Windsor Police Services that prevented people under a certain height to become an officer. This piece done in 1983 by former CBC Windsor reporter Percy Hatfield.
The controversy surrounds Kevin Mayhew. He used to be a policeman in Calgary, but was laid off in a budget cut. He's from Windsor and would like to apply for a job here, but because he's 5'6", 2 inches too short, the police department won't even consider his application. It's felt that taller men are granted more respect.
It's not true, it's not fair, and it's not justifiable. And it should be ended as soon as possible.
Now, to maintain this archaic restriction, such as this anachronism, would indeed be, I believe, an embarrassment to the city.
The issue wasn't settled last night, however. Alderman Tom Porter felt it should be set aside until council meets with the police commission in early June. By then, it'll be too late for Kevin Mayhew in this current round of hiring, but his case has helped to make a point.
Well, we got through last night's storm, and in return, we get a really nice stretch of weather coming up. Your full weather forecast up after the break. Well, I don't want to get too excited because the weather this time of year is always a little bit unpredictable, but it looks like we're coming into a really nice stretch. Victor Paulo now with your weather forecast.
Well, Windsor, today was a day where we had seasonal temperatures, no special weather statements, no watches, and no warnings. Because why? It is a beautiful seasonal day right in the middle of the week here in Windsor, Ontario. And what else is in store when it comes to the weather? Well, it's going to be the return of Ra. For those that don't know, that's the return of the sunshine. The sun is going to be right back to where it belongs, right here in Windsor. And it's going to be accompanied by cool, clear nights as well. Now, my favorite combo when the sun is out is a nice, cool, clear night. Now, Now, lastly, we're going to have a quick peek at our weekend to see what exactly it's going to look like as you make your plans the closer we get to it. Now, average temperatures this time of year, we do know your average high is 23 degrees and your average low is 11.1. So on a day like today, where we're looking at an average high of around 20 degrees will be our high today with the low around 3 degrees, you can see we're below seasonal. Why mention below seasonal? Well, because of course, you know, here in Windsor, it's almost like it's summertime every day where we have temperatures which are usually above seasonal as we've been experiencing over the last couple of weeks. But to see the temperatures right back down to seasonal, even a touch below, it's a nice little change of pace. Now, taking a look at the overnight temperatures and what we're going to be expecting, well, over here in Windsor, it's going to be 3 degrees, as you do see. It's going to be a nice, cool, chilly night. Leamington, 3 degrees. Sarnia, 2 degrees. Chatham, Kent, 3 degrees as well. And all the way east in London, Ontario, it's going to be 4 degrees. So everyone collectively is going to have themselves a cool and chilly night. No one warmer than anyone else. Now, taking a look at what's happening, once we get rid of that little bit of rain over here and it gets out of the system, we're going to be left with a nice high pressure system. Get that rain out the way. There we go. And then the rest of Ontario, well, the rest of southwestern Ontario is going to be left with nothing but a high pressure system, no cloud cover, get to really see and feel that sun. Now, when it comes to what we're expecting for tomorrow's high, it's going to be around 21 degrees. As we did talk about average temperatures, that's right there where it needs to be. Now, tomorrow's high around 19, 20, 24 degrees on Friday. And looking at those lows closer to the mid-teens, it looks like we're all going to be back to experiencing much cooler temperatures as we gear up to more summer-like temperatures next week. Hope you all have yourselves a great night, and over to you.
That is a lot of sun. Thanks so much for that, Victor. We have more news coming up. Stay tuned. Some wine growers in Ontario are trying out new technology to combat an age-old enemy in the vineyard. Powdery mildew and fungi on the vine can be disastrous and destroy entire grape crops if not properly managed. Farmers usually rely on chemicals to control it, but as Anand Ram shows us, a winery in the Niagara region is testing a new green system.
This harvester has been modified to take on one of winemaking's oldest enemies. It's using a combo of UV light, ozone, and hydrogen peroxide to attack fungus, yet safe enough for our camera to follow closely.
So far, the results are unbelievably promising. We're able to ensure that the levels of powdery mildew, downy mildew, and black rot were kept in check.
Fungal disease is typically controlled by toxic chemical sprays, so the fruit doesn't rot and become unusable. We're in the part of the season where these vines are about to bloom, and it's critical to deal with powdery mildew because if left untreated, a bad year in Ontario could see as many as 5,000 tons of grapes wasted.
You multiply that across North America, across Europe, hundreds and hundreds of millions of bottles of wine never get made.
It could also save farmers thousands of dollars spent on those conventional chemicals.
Black rot, downy mildew, etc.
But some experts say this solution can't tackle every threat. So what do you think about this approach?
Ultraviolet and peroxide, they're very ineffective typically against these other fungal pathogens. And we have 4 or 5 of them that in great production in this part of the world.
We're looking for some yellow stain.
But the problem is growing. The effects of climate change are expanding the conditions that fungi love.
And in 2017, we saw some more fires, more smoke, trapping the humidity on the ground. And that was one of the main reasons we had an outburst of powdery mildew.
Back in Ontario, this system needs more testing, but the hope is to commercialize and share.
I've got a lot of colleague grape growers around North America and wineries. We're inviting them to come out and see it.
A chance to see the art and science of winemaking take a sustainable step forward. Anand Ram, CBC News, Lincoln, Ontario.
For the first time ever, the Ontario legislature has allowed the official use of a language other than English or French. New Democrat MPP Sol Mamakwa addressed the chamber in OG Cree yesterday, and his words were translated and transcribed into the official record. The CBC's Sarah Law looks at the significance of the event.
This is a good day. No, it's a great day. Just because it's, I get to speak that and I get to speak my language back no matter when.
Many First Nations people are at risk of losing their language, but some First Nations youth say they're encouraged by Mamakwa's words.
Especially because it's like the language my father speaks, you know what I mean, like, and our family does. Like, to be able to like just see that and see him be just unapologetically himself, and us not having to be like banned from doing it or whatever, you know what I mean? Because that's where those laws were made, and structures like that, and like colonial structures. So being able to see that, I'm glad that it feels like the world's finally changing.
Looking forward, advocates say the changes at Queen's Park must be more than just symbolic.
This moment can be its most meaningful moment if we then do that work once again to rally around it and honor it with substantive action. So it's not just this individual good thing, but actually a wider phenomenon.
Sarah Law, CBC News, Thunder Bay.
The Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association is opening a satellite office in Windsor. The 2 people working there will try and help our 80 local manufacturing firms land contracts with automotive firms here and abroad.
I'm excited because these people are known in Windsor and they know Windsor, and I think that's a great way to build a sustainable presence. It's important because about 1/3 of our members are in the Windsor area, and in an incredible spectrum of members, from tool and mold makers to advanced applied mobility technology.
The office will be opening next week at the Ed Lumley Engineering Building at the University of Windsor. The engineering department will also help the association make industry connections and help local manufacturers deal with regulatory issues. That's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. You can also download the CBC News app for stories that matter most to you. And don't forget to watch the National tonight at 9 on CBC News Network, 10 p.m. on the CBC News app, CBC TV, and streaming on CBC Gem and CBC Explore. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you have a lovely sunny evening. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow night.